Well, it was a case of good news followed by bad this afternoon as we got announcements within an hour of each other. First of all, we heard that the R1.50 reduction in the general fuel levy, which has been cushioning us for the past 2 months, is going to continue through the month of June. And Treasury making that announcement earlier today. But then, straight after that, we heard about the new fuel price adjustments from the Department of Energy, and they are tough indeed. Let's bring in eNCA business editor Devan Murugan. Devan, gosh, I mean, one shudders to think how tough it would be if that R1.50 fuel cushion had been taken away from this coming month. Nevertheless, the prices are steep and they are historic. We've never been paying this much before for fuel, have we?
We haven't. It's a record indeed, and we do know how much more there would have been. I mean, according to Treasury and the DMR, if we bring those numbers up in a moment, we would have been paying a R4 increase for the petrol price. But let's just very quickly take a look to see what that had done. So it's still no real big relief, actually. So the price of 95 petrol will be going up by R2.33 this afternoon. Now, that is taking into account two moves, Sally. The one move is the fact that Treasury had taken out or continued with the R1.50 reduction in the general fuel price, but also 10 cents coming off the demand side levy. That would have been much, much more. Petrol price now for 95, R2.33, diesel up by R1.07. But indeed, I spoke to Treasury not so long ago, and that extension of the R1.50 reduction only goes through June. It becomes the reduction of 75 cents in July, and then, Sally, in August it falls away. So no more intervention after August.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we look at the actual cost for a litre of fuel, it really does get quite eye-watering, because 95 octane will go up to R24.17 a litre from midnight tonight. 93 octane around 23.93 cents. And those prices we have not seen before. That is enormous pain for motorists. But the reality, of course, Devan, it's enormous pain across the economy, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's the global economy. I wonder if we've got those actual prices in the next page. But while we get there, this is a problem that's beyond South Africa as well. I mean, yes, you have the advocacy groups that's been singing this song, and they're right in many ways. South Africa is just overly taxed on fuel. And that's the reason why you've got that. But let's go back to the actual numbers you were talking about. All right, before today's announcement, we had your 93 octane petrol at R21.50. Look what happens. It's pushed up just below R24. 95 octane petrol, again, scarily, we're approaching the R25 mark. You correctly said we haven't seen these prices before. Diesel goes up to R23.23 in June. Here's a sad story, though, and I'll tell you why paraffin is always a sad story, because there is just so many households that are still using paraffin, not only to cook, but to warm their homes up. When that goes up, you can start seeing the poor really being affected by what's happening with the fuel prices. And as I said, come August, we don't know if more interventions will come in place here, but it still is a pain despite that good intention by Treasury and the Energy Department to save us that very, very big painful surge.
I mean, we're still digesting the petrol price, the fuel price, what's going to happen from tomorrow, but looking longer term, I mean, we know, in the statements released this afternoon, it's the fact that the crude oil price has gone up. And that is partly because of what's happening with Russia. We also know that high refining margins, and we don't refine our petrol anymore, so that's making it tougher on us. But if we look to the future, beyond July, August, is it possible, A, to predict what's going to happen with the global oil prices? And are we getting a handle on what government is considering around some of the trimming of margins, changes in the basic fuel price? Did you get any hints today from the releases?
Well, I spoke to the Deputy Director General, Ismail Momaniat, in fact, just about 20 minutes ago. And I said, look, I mean, beyond that R1.50 reduction that will continue in June, what else can we expect? And it's very similar to a release we've got a couple of months ago, Sally, and that is that they are considering cutting the basic fuel price by 3 cents. That's on the card. Removing the cap for 93 octane petrol that will introduce some sort of competition in the market, and then just the way the fuel price is calculated. But of course, all of that still also due on discussions. It's still on the table. So come August, we don't know. And then again, he also just brought up the point that, like the rest of the world, we are at the mercy of what is happening with that oil price. And mind you, previously the oil price has dipped to our advantage, and hopefully if things get sorted out in that Ukrainian-Russian region with the war, we could see some reprieve, and if the rand strengthens, also some reprieve. But for now, Sally, we're pretty much at the mercy of international factors. Get used to that, because if you head off from the studio tonight, that's what's waiting for you at the pump.
Yeah, thank you so much, Devan Murugan, our business editor. And yes, we've got a lot of discussion around this evening. We're going to be live at the petrol pumps. We're also speaking to COSATU and other role players to get their input. We'll be speaking to the Automobile Association because something has to be done. But there's only so much that can be done before our government has to start taking away from other vital parts of our budget. So plenty to discuss.